Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. I'm Nick Perro. This is Banner and Backbone. He'll be back in a second. I am joined by my good friend and co-host Shane Urich, who I'm sending his co-host invite link to in our private
Yes.
chat so that he can pop up on the feed with y'all on Substack. But hey, what's going on, Substackverse? It's Banner and Backbone's Palantalk. It's Monday. We're here for a great
Monday.
conversation. We're going to be talking about the war that is ongoing. I'm going to get this big ass screen off my face so it doesn't look so orange on me because that's not the greatest color for my face. And so, yeah, we're here for Palantalk. When Shane, I don't know if you've heard or not,
Oh
but the
God.
U.S. started a war in
Really? They
Iran.
did that.
They started a holy war in Iran,
Wow.
and we're bombing the shit out of the Middle East right now. Again, not like the first
That went
20
well the
years that
last
we
time,
were.
right?
Yeah, it went so well the first 20 years we were there. I'm
Mhm.
so glad we're back for more. If you can't hear the sarcasm in my voice, fuck those people. Because
No
fuck
shit,
them.
man.
Like, the war
Yep.
wages on. We're now 3 weeks in to a new global war of terror that we are starting. And
Yep.
I'm not saying on terror, but of terror because we are waging a war terrorizing other people because we think we can and we think we deserve it.
Yep.
And people are making bank off of this war, mostly the tech folks
Always.
and
Yeah.
the billionaires in charge. Yeah,
Right.
and it is going to become a Vietnam 2.0 or
It
worse.
already is. If they
And yeah, the rich get rich, the poor get poorer, and we get fucked. And
rich
so
get rich and we get fucked. That's right.
so the
That's
war wages on. So I wanted to discuss latest updates
yeah.
on the war itself, what's been happening, what our thoughts are on it, what we're doing in the background to help ourselves and do. Shane will be back. Help ourselves do research and provide great context for folks because we want to provide an environment that is the best for y'all to be able to have the most up to date and accurate information that's out there. Um,
As you guys can tell, I have my shit together this morning.
yeah,
So
Shane's doing well this morning.
yes.
Um,
Yes.
He is put together as fuck. He is put
Yes.
together as fuck today. Um, that all that means, though, for me, all that means for us is we're having a great time this morning
Absolutely.
while we're talking about some shitty things because that's what we always do. Is we try and put some positivity where we can
Yeah.
and give you all action items and things that you can do to move forward. And yeah, there's less we can do right now other than, continuing to pressure our congressional representatives and going through primaries and forcing primary issues to become the hot issues, which is the war and the death that's going on. So before we get into any of that, I monologued a little bit to help give Shane some time to get himself set up and get
Yeah.
get back to his new standing desk. So we're both standing desking today. Um, I love my stand desk. I don't really ever sit at it because it hurts more to sit than it does to stand. Um,
Hmm.
so Shane, how you doing, man? It's
Yeah.
been 2 weeks since we've gotten to talk on a Palantalk.
Yeah.
Missed you last week, but Rachel jumped in, which was awesome, and we
Yes.
had a great
I couldn't
conversation.
think of
So how are
anyone
you?
better. Anyone
Yeah,
better? I can't think of one. So, I mean, she's the
I'm
perfect
going to invite
stand-in.
her on more, I think, too, because she's got a lot of really good stuff to talk about, especially around the AI sector and how we can be utilizing tools
Yeah.
in really good ways to put content out in places people aren't expecting. Um, and so that we can influence models in ways that are unexpected. Um,
Yeah.
so, Shane, how you doing, man?
I'm tired, I'm tired. I mean, this is quite the time to be doing what I'm doing. And I've been just locked in on getting people the truth about this war. because we're seeing the most intense propaganda operation that I have ever lived through at this moment in time. I mean, I have not, there's always the subtle stuff, but then there's this where you have them literally reconstructing reality in a Putin-esque interpretation of Ukraine. It's rewriting reality. They're rewriting reality in real time while reality plays out, which is a strange thing to be watching, because the markets, the economy, diplomacy, they all take what these people say very seriously. The markets react to what Benjamin Netanyahu says. The price of oil will drop 7% because Trump says the war is over, even though people like me, who look at the war every day, can tell you that's so wildly untrue. In fact, we've never been farther from ending this war unless we just up and leave. The best thing they could do is declare total victory and turn around and leave.
Which is honestly is a distinct possibility of our regime doing, because we live under I'm not demeaning anyone's mental health. We are under a psychopath right now. We are under a narcissistic individual who has put us all under a group psychopathy, and we are living in trauma together right now.
Yeah.
And this person, Donald Trump specifically, and Pete Hegseth and Stephen Miller, have true narcissistic personality disorders that can be seen and are being felt by everyone. And one of those things that happens is when they change their mind on things, things can drastically alter very quickly. And one of those, Trump has floated it, is maybe we just leave the Strait of Hormuz because we have domestic energy independence, which means we would have gone in, blown up a whole bunch of shit, killed a bunch of civilians, 150 plus at a girls' school on the first day. We
170.
A fucking girls' school.
Yeah. 7 to 12.
We're killing civilians. We're destroying hospital and energy infrastructure in a country and a region. And it's just making things more expensive. And there's no goal. And the goal isn't hold the Strait of Hormuz, because Donald Trump claims we have total energy independence and we don't need it. And that now our allies must come in, who he's been bashing and threatening to take sovereign land of, saying, oh, you need to come and protect the Strait of Hormuz because we made it dangerous. And now you need to protect it if you want your ships to come through.
Right.
It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. And we've lost.
The dumbest thing. It's the dumbest thing I've seen. Those of you who've been watching me for a while know that I have been talking about this war that shouldn't be a war for months. And I said all of the things that are going to happen in advance. So what I'm hearing is that me and Nick need to go and replace the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because apparently all of our military know-how doesn't know anything. Because the one thing about this operation that is absolutely clear is the best path to victory is never starting the operation. There is no historical example of successful regime change through air power alone. Zero. Also, there's invading, Iraq or Afghanistan. And then there's invading Iran, which is it's a mountain fortress. It's like trying to take the dwarven stronghold from the dwarves. I mean, I'm serious. Everyone probably has heard of this. It's the mines of Moria, full of ballistic missiles. And they think they're going to bomb the mines of Moria out of existence. All they did was wake up the Balrog. And now, no Gandalf to be seen. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? They don't know. Like Nick said, they have no clear objectives to end the war. Zero. They just don't have it. And I don't see a way out. I don't see a way out short of declaring victory and leaving. And everything they're doing says to me that you are just doing the next best thing, as in like, well, there's no way we can win, sir, unless we do this. So here's where I think, give me your 2 cents on this, Nick, but this is where I think we're going. 2,500, 2,200 Marines, between 22 and 2,500. I've seen different numbers. So I'm going to state explicitly that I've seen different numbers because that's important. Between 2,200 and 2,500 Marines have been deployed from Okinawa. I believe it was the 32nd.
Let me give you a full briefing on this part. I can give you the full breakdown here.
Please do.
So ground and marine forces, status and posture. So I just so you all know, I use AI to help my research assistant as a research assistant, an aggregator, and aid. I use Claude. I switched off of ChatGPT.
I do love Claude.
I stopped paying for ChatGPT and I moved my money to Claude because Anthropic made a choice that we should be supporting. Do I support Anthropic overall as a company on everything? No, fuck no. But they made a very, very strong guardrail choice for ethics that said, we do not want to be part of the kill command. And the Pentagon said, well, fuck you. We don't like you anymore. And so I like Anthropic because they said, no, I don't want to be part of the kill command. And they put their foot down and said, no, we need guardrails and structural stability to ensure that there are true chain of command and we do not lose chain of authority on orders and understanding of where those orders came from and who issued them and how they got translated and what happened with them. They said no. They put their foot down. So I put my money towards them. And I used them with a very well thought out, very structured instruction manual from Rachel. I have an epistemic war report instruction guide that is like 40 something pages long of how to properly format, what are good choices for resources and research and sourcing, and providing scores on like credibility and accuracy scores, and providing age. Anthropic, which is Claude, CLAUDE.ai, Claude.ai.
Not Clyde.
Not Clyde. Claude. It's yes, I know. I sometimes say words a little funny. I've got my own.
No, I'm only saying that because that's my mom, and I'm giving her a particularly hard time because she does know how to spell Claude. So
we got to give our parents shit sometimes.
That's right.
Okay, but going back, no, you're good, Kim.
Okay.
Is that I use this to help me do my research and then provide me some outlines so that I can then verify on information. And so let's just I'm going to give a full briefing on what I have pulled together from just on troop movement, on the troops that have been deployed and the carrier groups that are out there. And then Shane, I'll hand it back to you to ask your question. This is just an informational piece for us. Ground and marine forces, status and posture. Right now, there's no confirmed ground deployment of forces. However, we have the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, the MEU, which is the first strike group. They go in and they secure a foothold on the ground. They secure a beachhead. They secure a place where we can then put ground operations. That's what an MEU does. The 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, that's what they do. There's roughly 2,200 of them. They're being dispatched to the Middle East on 3 ships. They were permanently deployed to Japan, but are now ordered to head to the Middle East. The Trump and Hegseth have not ruled out putting boots on the ground, which means these Marines are going because there is a chance that they're going to get on the ground, which is probably pretty high. And my guess is Karg Island, where we have been hitting, because that's a place that can help control the Strait of Hormuz and take over the Iranian oil infrastructure. Next, we have the 82nd Airborne Division. They had orders for a training exercise that got abruptly canceled. There's no further word on what they are doing. However, their large training, they had a large unit training exercise which was canceled, and they're now probably put on standby, if not already on the way. Yeah, buddy. Not right now.
And one that says
no, I'm right back.
Interesting. I haven't heard about the Airborne. Is this last 24 hours, 48? Do we know when?
They have been set for about a week. I think it was almost 2 weeks. They've been told their training got canceled almost 2 weeks ago. So if anything, they're preparing for a mission and getting everything ready. I don't have any further information on what their posture is past that, but we do know that they canceled a major training exercise, which is very, very unusual. Military does not tend to cancel training exercises, especially ones like NTC or JRTC, which are the main training group or areas where they go and they train for combat situations. Those tend to be pre-deployment trainings or large just division level trainings where everybody goes out and they actually prepare for war. They do war games. If they're canceling things like that, that means they're probably preparing for troop movement somewhere overseas, which would be Iran or in the surrounding areas. So they have changed their tempo and their status. Next, we have U.S. Army drone deployment, which, Shane, you probably might have better figures on this, or more accurate figures on this, but from what I've read, and this is out of the defense, this is linked to the Defense News article, is the U.S. has deployed about 10,000 AI-powered Merops interceptor drones to the Middle East to counter Iranian UAV attacks. And so we are preparing for ground operations. We have not initiated ground operations. In that, we also have the largest deployment of American naval power since the Iraq War. So we now have the USS Abraham Lincoln, which is in the Arabian Sea, Persian Gulf, that has a carrier strike group 3 led by the Abraham Lincoln, is pressuring Iran from the southeast, and is part of the attrition and destroying the naval capabilities and the minesweepers and Iranian's naval forces. Next, we have the USS Gerald Ford, which is in the Red Sea. This has carrier strike Group 12. This has crossed the Suez Canal and now postured in the Red Sea, reportedly prepared to attack or defend should the Houthis attempt to join the ongoing war. So far, the Houthis have sat out for the most part.
Dude, I'm telling you.
They're waiting for something. They're waiting. They're waiting on orders.
I know. They're okay. I've a lot to talk about with those.
And then finally, And then finally, I want to get back to you so you can also ask your question here that you were prepping for. Finally is the USS George H.W. Bush, which is en route to the Eastern Mediterranean. And this is going to join the other 2 carrier strike groups, which puts a lot of naval assets in the region. A lot. So, Shane, now that we have some details around like our force movements and who's where, let's get back to what you were saying.
So I mean, it is interesting, in particular the airborne. I will say the MEU, right? That's 5,000 personnel with sailors. Okay. And then they are coming with the amphibious landing vessel as well, the Tripoli. So, you just don't send troops from Okinawa when you're having a standoff with Taiwan. You don't pull your premier Marine unit that's been operating in the Pacific for, decades, protecting this particular area. You don't pull them and move them through the Indian Ocean and all the way back to the Middle East when tensions with China have never been higher, unless you're going to use them. You don't do that. You don't.
You don't weaken our other allies.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, that's good. That's a good point. And that's actually a whole other discussion that we need to be having, is they are taking batteries from from South Korea. North Korea has never been more aggressive. They have systematically been cutting their...
They just launched a bunch of ballistic missiles today or yesterday too. I saw a report come up on one of my news aggregators that North Korea launched like 10 ballistic missiles or something.
Yep. So you're exactly right. I mean, they've been actively dismantling just general channels for communication that we haven't seen in a long time. Like, he's been closing off these kind of... In the last year or so, he's pretty much said reunification, even though that was really never a thing. It has become more of it's become a not ever conclusion, right? And they pull the batteries from South Korea. When you pull the batteries from South Korea, Japan has expressed concern. South Korea has expressed concern. The statement from South Korea is like, we've said we're worried, but we don't really have any leverage, right? This is a direct violation of longstanding U.S. defense commitments in other parts of the world to support a war that they're supposedly winning, right? So it doesn't make sense for you to be claiming victory, yet stripping assets from key regional strong points that allow you to project power elsewhere. They're actively compromising their ability to defend U.S. interests around the world, to allow them to continue an operation that is an epic FUBAR. And so when you look at this all in context, it's really kind of undeniable at this point that things are not going the way they want them to go. And that's something that I think, is pretty evident. I mean, they're not reporting realistically. They're not telling us what's going on. How much do you know about what's going on with the Iraqi militias, Nick?
I have been specifically looking into the Kurds over any of the other militia groups because rather than other specific Iraqi militia groups or Iranian militia groups or other regional groups, because the Kurdish folks tend to get left out in all of these discussions, and we use them as pawns to be the quote tip of the spear, and then we leave them out to dry. And so
the irony... Go ahead, please.
So my analysis what I tend to focus right now on is like Kurdish analysis for where are they in all of this picture. And there's some interesting things I've noticed too on some of the maps for where the bombings have happened, what like regions are being attacked and why, and what the Kurds are doing and not doing right now, which is for the most part, they're not participating as best they can.
It's interesting.
They're in this weird spot because they know Iran has a history of massacring civilians. Not saying we don't either. We do. We definitely do in the US. Not to downplay severities of what we have done.
Yeah.
The Kurdish folks are really concerned, from what I've been reading, that if we have them start, or if they start attacking, we will just leave them We'll leave them to be pounded and destroyed. The Israeli forces are focusing a lot of their fire on the northwest of Iraq, from what I've looked at, from the battle space maps that I've looked at, which tends to be a lot of the Kurdish region. And they're not attacking the Kurds themselves. The Israelis tend to work with the Kurdish forces. They always have. They use them as pawns in their games. But they are attacking regional centers to make it easier for the Kurds to attempt to rebel if they were given the right guarantees. And right now we haven't given them. And the Kurds span across multiple nations within the Middle East because we decided to regionalize nomadic groups and to stabilize nation areas because we're stupid and we didn't do it based on tribal regions. And the Western world fucked up the Middle East by carving out lines and saying these are now your countries.
Nope.
It's our fucking fault. Like, we caused all of this because we broke apart tribal groups and said, now you're parts of different countries. Good fucking luck. And so I've been following the Kurds because we worked with them in Afghanistan and Iraq, and we left them dry. We're working with them now, and we're going to leave them high and dry, and they're going to get fucking massacred because of it if they participate. And they know that. The Iranians know that. And so we need to. The problem is, if we pull out, if we do the thing that would actually be best for the U.S., which is not be involved in this region, we would leave the Kurds to die. And we can't do that.
But I be honest, I actually stopped watching the Kurds, not because I was watching them, because I want to say it was like day 3. They're like, we're going to have the CIA and Mossad. They're arming the Kurds. You know what Iran did is they started missile striking all of the Kurdish headquarters, all of the Kurdish military sites, everything. And there was like 2 days where they just bombed the shit out of the Kurds. And then the Kurds said, you know what? We're not doing it. Because the U.S., if you go to someone and say, hey, we need you to do a ground invasion for us. Okay. Like, you've kind of fucked us over in the past, but, we'll think about it. And then you get missile strike to hell and you get no help from your buddies who you're going to invade for. You might not do it. That's exactly what you saw happen. What is most interesting to me about this is everyone is looking at this, and I want to challenge everyone to look at this from a different perspective. Don't look at it as the United States and Israel versus Iran. Look at it as the United States and Israel versus the axis of Iran. Okay? The axis of Iran consists of Iran, the IRGC, and the Iranian government. You have the Houthis in Yemen. You have Hezbollah in Lebanon. You have the Iranian-backed Iraqi militias, particular Kataib Hezbollah, that recently just took, actually historic. We saw them publish drone FPV footage of them flying a FPV drone around a U.S. base in Iraq. We watched them do this. We see it. Baghdad, the international airport in Baghdad last night, 5 ballistic missiles impacted the international airport in Baghdad. At the same time, you have the Emirati embassy in Baghdad, I believe was hit. TLDR, it's almost more, the U.S. is getting hit simultaneously across the entire Middle East. The United States is not just at war in Iran, it's every single military facility in the Middle East. At the same time, I don't remember the country. Actually, I do. It was the United Arab Emirates. One of their giant major refinery facilities was hit yesterday. Their markets are in free fall. These countries, even the idea that the US and Iran, the United States alone and Israel could probably fight Iran, just Iran. But I have my doubts. But if it was just Iran, maybe it's a different story. But they're not. And the war that Iran is fighting is an asymmetrical war on American logistics and supply chain capabilities. The bases across the Middle East. The fact that Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia was hit with 5 KC-135 Stratotankers on the runway. All right. Again, they don't publish the numbers. It's never all together. There's about 35 or so KC-135 Stratotankers that were moved to the Middle East to support this operation. In 72 hours, the United States lost 2, one entirely and the crew, which the U.S. Air Force doesn't provide parachutes. That's fucking criminal, to be honest with you. I don't even want to get into that, but that is criminal. And I can't imagine how those 4 airmen and 2 airwomen felt as they descended. They plunged from the air, knowing that they were dead. Horrific. Beyond that, you saw 2 lost, 1 grounded. I'm very proud to announce that I reported and shared that photo of that other KC-135 landed on the runway in Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv before any mainstream media outlet did. In fact, I published it 20 minutes after the image came out. So it just goes to show, I guess, in a lot of ways that this information is available before anyone who's parroting mainstream media even, has looked at that information. But when you look at the hit, right, that hit cannot happen. You cannot run an air campaign and have your Stratotankers getting hit on the tarmac. They lost 30% of their tanker capacity in 72 hours. That's 25 to 30%. It's 25 to 30%. That's 25 to 30% of their sortie rate, of their ability to conduct airstrikes, their ability to do anything. And they're already trying to win a war of regime change with air power, which doesn't work. It's a non-starter. We have no analog for this being successful. You look at all of this, there is no base in the region that the United States can seriously count on if they can't count on Prince Sultan to launch air sorties. It pushes their operational envelope back more and more. They're using European bases for defensive operations.
Limited.
Why? Because they need to maintain their operational capacity for offensive capabilities on these other places. We are going to see a 100% the George W. Bush moves to the Middle East now, 100%, because they need carriers to continue with the sortie rates. Their air bases themselves are getting hit. They're getting hit. And who knows how many more of these planes are going to crash into each other. Because we're not talking about the human cost on these pilots flying back-to-back missions. And in wartime, they can waive certain restrictions, like, I don't know, mandated sleep. They can do that.
No, they can't. They can is very serious consequences. Pilots take very serious care of their sleep habits and the way that their flight hours. I only know this from someone who I know is a pilot, and they take very, very serious care for their hours on flying so that they aren't more tired. That said, you're at war, you're stressed as fuck, and you're tired anyway. So no matter what, how much sleep you get, it's not good sleep. You're not feeling rested. You're not feeling ready for the next mission. You're tired as shit. because you don't have time to recover.
And they're also getting
Yes.
bombed, like actively, like when you didn't sleep well when you were getting mortared every
Well,
fucking night.
at some
You
point,
think the
at some
pilots are
point,
gonna
you
sleep?
just go, well, if they hit me, at least I'm asleep, and maybe it's a good dream when I die. So if it's my time, it's my
Yeah,
time.
no shit.
But that's the thing, is it's still not good sleep, because yes, you hear those alarms go off, you hear it wakes you up, and you have to be ready to get out and move. And yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. And you were talking about other regional forces and how things are progressing around the area. We talk a lot about just the Iran front of this war, but less coverage right now is the Yemen front, or not the Yemen front, the Hezbollah and Lebanon front, and how
It's actually
and
huge.
how Lebanon is responding to it, because their government is actually responding in a positive way to try and kick the rest of Hezbollah out. I think they're just tired of being fucking bombed all the time and attacked all the time, so they're making a change. That being said, Israel has launched a ground operation in Lebanon. They are trying to basically create a neutral zone almost, or a safe zone for themselves, so that they can continue to attack Hezbollah. There's been over 800 deaths. At least 850 people have been killed by Israeli strikes so far in Lebanon. These are civilian costs, not Hezbollah cost. 850 civilians have been killed, with at least 107 children and 66 women, based on the health ministry of Lebanon. Those could be variable numbers. Again, we don't trust every number that comes out of any nation. They all lie, especially ours, and especially those being attacked. More than 800,000 people have been displaced. Almost 1 million people have been displaced by the Israeli attack on Lebanon. Do I agree with Hezbollah? No. Fuck no. I want Hezbollah gone. I want Hezbollah gone, just like I want all the other terror groups gone. But to do that, we cannot spread terror ourselves. And that's what we're doing. We're doing a global war of terror right now. No, Lebanon is speaking out against Hezbollah. They have kicked them. They have been doing it for a while too. Like, Lebanon has been pushing back on Hezbollah for a very long time and forcing them out of the government and out of their systems. Israel is forcing that faster. And the Lebanon front is a very different front than the Iranian front. We'll make sure we say that very clearly. Like, Israel and Lebanon.
I have a lot of data on that too.
And
so
I'd love to have you go
share
into some of that too. Is like, because that's a very different war front than the Iran one itself overall. That said, Hezbollah is a terrible fucking group. They need to be gone. They're all terrible. They're all terrorist groups. And when you kill a bunch of civilians, you make more terrorists, because you radicalize people against you. For every civilian death, 2 people get radicalized, at least. For every 1 death, there's at least 2 new radicalized individuals. Death of civilians, not service members. Death of civilians. You radicalize at least 2 more people. The U.S. is promoting an act of terrorism. The first fucking thing we did was bomb a goddamn school, because we were too lazy to check whether the AI targeting system was accurately hitting military targets and not things that were changed 10 years later. We bombed a fucking school, tomahawked the kids to free them. And we are taking credit too. We have admitted that it happened, because nobody else has fucking tomahawks like that in the region. Nobody else can do that. It was our fucking fault. And that's radicalizing people in Iran, not for us, but definitely against us. And the more that we do that, the worse it's going to get. They're not going to side with us. Even if we killed the new Ayatollah and supreme leader of Iran, there's another one in line. And the only way to actually win this war, if we have a chance to win it, is through ground operations. And that's going to cause a lot of death. And we're going to see what happens when we wage war for profit and not for human protection. Because this war is not about protecting anybody. This war is about profit. This war is about tech profit specifically, and regionalization and changing the balance of powers. Because, like Shane, you alluded to earlier, we've taken a ton of assets out of Japan and the Asian Pacific region, leaving Taiwan wide open for an attack, an invasion, leaving South Korea wide open for an attack by North Korea, leaving Japan wide open for an attack if somebody were to do it. We're leaving other regions of the world less safe because we are actively tomahawking people. Yes, tomahawk is named after a Native American
that we genocided. It's the natives peoples that we also genocided in the U.S. We named our weapon for
and
killing
so
and genociding
just so we're aware too on some of the history of that, the tomahawk itself is actually named based on the Mohawk. They used to wear them in battle. The native population who were named tomahawks by other native groups were named that because they were the warriors who wore tomahawk mohawks, and they scared the shit out of people. They were vicious. They were ferocious warriors. They were incredibly powerful, and they scared the shit out of you with giant ass tomahawks. And we appropriated that name. And yes, a lot of our killing machines are based on native tribal names and war groups from tribes. Yes, we did. We have some pretty vicious. We did that. We genocided them, and then we stole all of their shit. Yes.
We thought their shit was cool. After, in hindsight, we thought it was cool.
The Apache, one of our most deadly air vehicles ever invented. Killing machine. They call them the dragons. The Iraqis called them like flame dragons or death dragons. Like, that's what they are. They come out of nowhere and they kill you and they leave. They shoot a lot of fire and they leave. That's what Apaches do. Also named after a tribal group. They are vicious. And so we are the bad guys right now, though, is what I'm trying to establish. We're being the bad guys. We're waging a war of terror on other countries to get them to do what we want. That's end of my soliloquy there, monologue there.
No, that's good. That's a good one. I think it's true. It's like, we're also not using our standoff weapons as much as we were in the beginning. It's an important note. These are all just laser guided bombs, dumb bombs, right? They're just dropping bombs from planes. They're not launching cruise missiles at scale. They're not doing a lot of things that they were doing in the beginning. I guarantee you that when they gamed this out, 3 weeks was never even a scenario. It was decapitate, regime collapse,
and leave.
Exploit the chaos. That was the plan, right? And instead, what they got was a martyr, a successful regime change under fire, a Iran that is still launching ballistic missiles on day 18, when at the same time they're claiming their ability to launch missiles is degraded by 90%. Yet on day 16, they hit, or it would have been yesterday. So on day 17, they hit an airfield with our most valuable assets. Without these stratotankers, American air power doesn't work, because they thought it was really smart to build a bunch of jets that have very poor range, that are basically our entire air fleet. We can't sortie from far away with our jets. Like, they need the stratotankers. Like, they need them for American doctrine to work. American war doctrine is entirely dependent on the stratotanker fleet. Full stop. Right? I don't know. General Raisin Canes is a freaking chicken. I don't even know. That guy's a little bitch.
He's a testicle.
in California, he's a testicle. He's a little testicle. In California, we have a place with great chicken. It's called Raising Cane's. So every time yeah. So he's chicken.
Well, we've got 2 Week Taco and Chicken Cane over here. So, and that's part of the problem is we're being run by idiots. We are actually being run by idiots. Like Steve Heggs or Pete Hegseth is a fucking moron. He's a fucking moron. He was a talk show host, B-rated weekend talk show host that on Fox News, and he is just a fucking moron. And part of this too is we're seeing what the next steps in their playbook are for American suppression, because the big thing about this war is it's not about Iran. This war is not about Iran. It is not about the Middle East. It is not about oil. It is only about suppressing those in America. It is about taking our rights away. It is about building an infrastructure of drones and automated systems in the US that protect us from drone attacks, but are used to surveil and suppress or dissent in the US. Since the war has broken out, we have now seen the FCC chair come out and try to intimidate broadcasting networks that are dispersing the truth, that are sending out the truth about the war, because they don't want people to know we ain't doing well. They don't want people to know what this war is actually about. So the next step of the war is silencing critics in the US, because they kicked out the press crew in the Pentagon, so that they only had network media that was theirs, their propaganda media networks. They are upset when other networks provide, quote, unflattering coverage of Pete Hegseth or the war. And now the FCC is intimidating broadcasting networks. It is an attempt to silence folks like Shane and I. The good thing is we're not on a broadcasting network, so we don't need a broadcasting license. So guess what, FCC chair? Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. We're going to keep talking about the war. We're going to keep talking about how disastrous it is, and what they're going to do in America as the response, because they're going to use it to either foment a real terrorist attack on our country, or they're going to make one up. And they're going to use the technology that they say
they're just going to fall
to protect us, to subjugate us. And that's what people need to be prepared for. This war is not about Iran. This war is about American subjugation at home.
I think what you're saying is true, but I also find these days that more than one thing is always true at once.
Two things can be true at once, multiple things.
I cannot. Right. I cannot say that it's just about domestic suppression, because it is being used for domestic suppression, of course. But again, the thing I've been talking about for almost a year now is China. China buys 90% of Iran's crude, right? It's moved, but it's such a large amount that if you want to compete with China, China are going to, their only leverage the U.S. has is oil, right? China does minerals. China does all the things the U.S. needs to make the weapons it's using in the Middle East. Without China, they can't do it. The dumbest thing America ever did was make its entire defense industrial complex entirely dependent on Chinese imports. It doesn't even make any sense considering they're supposed to be our biggest rival. It's been this way for over a year. I've been talking about this for over a year. They can't replace the bombs. They can't replace anything. They want to build a surveillance state, but they don't have the materials for the drones. They don't have, they want to build a surveillance state, or do they need to replace missile interceptors? Which is it? They actually have to choose. It's not they can have it all. They really can't. Like they've told us, again, pay attention to what they do, not what they say. Like this whole war is so much easier to follow I haven't listened to a single statement from Pete Hegseth. I haven't listened to a single statement from Donald Trump on this war. Zero, net, nothing. And I understand exactly what's going on. I get it. And it's not what they're saying. It's so wildly off cue. They're claiming that they destroyed 90% of their missile interceptor. No, correlation doesn't equal causation. Just because launch tempo is down 86%, 90% doesn't mean that you've destroyed all their interceptors. I can only go and find a handful of videos of actual, mobile launchers getting blown up. Okay. Again, it's what Israel said versus what Israel does. Let's talk about what Israel's going through, not what they're saying. Okay. Since March 2nd, Hezbollah has conducted 485 attack waves against Israel. Okay, 485. They are actively coordinating with Iran on a strategic level. 485. So not only is Israel having to intercept when they calculated all of this Iran's missiles, and you made the point earlier. It's true. The Lebanese government came out and said all Hezbollah activities are illegal, and Hezbollah said, "You're fucking funny, bro." And that was that. Because they can't do anything. The Lebanese armed forces are they're a token. Hezbollah runs the country. Hezbollah has run the country. And if anything, it was a symbolic statement. The Lebanese armed forces aren't going to die to fight against Hezbollah. For what? Meanwhile, Israel's bombing and killing them anyway, right? We're looking at approximately 800 in Lebanon that have been killed right now, aggregate. Right. But, just between the 13th and the 14th, there was 97 attack waves. 97. They made a big deal because yesterday there was 34 attack waves, the same day that Israel supposedly killed the guy who was in charge of coordinating all of the attacks. Because Hezbollah learned in 2025 from all of the pager attacks that killed a bunch of Hezbollah elite. So what they did is they reorganized. They operate now as decentralized cells. They use radio and runners. They have set up a contingency where each leader has 4 different deputies that can step up immediately because they learned from the past. The assumption that these people, and here's the Israeli-American assumption, these people are savages. They're a primitive people. They're brown people. They're Palestinians. And they're not. They're tacticians. They're soldiers. They're strategists. If I'm Iran, because here's how I look at this war. How do I beat America? Not how does America win? How do I beat America? You know how I beat America? I go for their eyes. I don't go for their fists. I know they're going to hit me hard. I cannot stop them. I know everything above the ground is going to be leveled. Full stop. I know it's going to happen. I can't compete. So what do? I spend the 5 weeks before the war distributing my mobile launchers, close to 500 of them, all across. I change my launch doctrine from silo-specific launches to using a tunnel network to quickly drive out and transport missiles around the country, drive them out quickly, launch them, and move them back in. You win by not losing. But furthermore, the first thing I do is I make a ground invasion impossible. It's the first thing I do. How do I do that? I hit their central command node. I hit the U.S. Navy base in Bahrain. I hit the 5th Fleet headquarters. I take out their C2, their satellite terminals, the heart, okay? Not that there's not redundancy, but, the command node. I hit that, and then I hit their air bases. I hit their radars on their air bases. I degrade their air defense envelope. I force them to pull additional assets into the region, like from, Okinawa and South Korea. I force them to expend interceptors on a large level. And then I let it go. I let it draw out. I sit in my bunkers. I know you're going to blow it up. I know you're going to blow it all up. I also know that I have all of my proxies, so I'm going to maybe use one or two in the beginning. I'm going to use Hezbollah first because they're going to put direct pressure on Israel. Hezbollah clearly was 400 plus, almost 500. Israel's quietly coming out and saying that this is credible, but not 100% confirmed, but my modeling suggests that this is absolutely when this would happen. So, and if you guys haven't, I've been modeling interceptor depletion since day one. This is actually the single biggest decisive factor. If I'm Iran, is how do I get them to use their interceptors? And then once they've depleted interceptors and I've degraded their air defense envelope, they're already rationing. We know this. Israel now quietly coming out and saying that they are critically low on interceptors. Because if America left right now, Israel would lose. I'm not kidding. Israel can't fight all of the proxies and Iran simultaneously and win on depleted stockpiles. They're already out. They were already at 50, 60% depletion following the 12-day war, not restocked. There's just no way, especially if Hezbollah is launching rocket attacks. There was a salvo of over 200 rockets. Okay? Doctrine says for each of those that's going to hit, you should be launching minimum 2 interceptors. To be safe, it's 3. They don't have those interceptors. There's going to be a day when Hezbollah launches 60 rockets and 40 hit Tel Aviv. It's inevitable. It's not a debate. It's not up for interpretation. It's inevitable, which is why Israel has no choice but to activate 100,000 reservists, pull their Golani brigade, their best urban combat brigade, move them to the border, and launch another massive ground invasion of Lebanon. Because if they don't get to the launchers before they run out of interceptors, the 2,000 plus wounded, I believe it was 25, I was looking earlier, it was somewhere around 2,500 wounded, confirmed in Israel. That is undeniably a fucking issue. If you've got, and they say 15 dead, I don't believe that. I don't believe any of the numbers they report. It took them how long to admit that over 100 U.S. soldiers were wounded? 140, 150, right? It took them how long? Do you think Israel is going to produce those numbers, right? U.S. KIA, we're at up to 13. 7 is by enemy fire. So 5 of at least half of them supposedly are non-combatant. And the people who did die in that first strike, they were logistics troops, logistics personnel. They were handling a radar. Why are they not attacking the attacking troops? Why are they not shooting down the planes? Because they don't need to. Because if they degrade the infrastructure the United States needs to launch an invasion or to effectively support even Israel with an airstrike, I don't see Israel walking out of this the same. And that's a big deal. That's a big discussion, because that means that everything this regime has done economically, not even economically, in their backdoor shadow market, the work that Kushner and Witkoff have put into the Middle East, into Israel, building Gaza, new Gaza, helping them with this genocide. All of this effort is falling through the floor. The Gulf states, if they were going to join the U.S. against Iran, they would have had to do it earlier, because now they are asking the U.S. for PAC-3 interceptor replenishment. And the U.S. is saying, no. Why are they going to Ukraine now and asking Ukraine to help them? They're going to Ukraine for drone interceptors. It's very clear that the United States cannot defend its allies, that they are paying big time for hosting U.S. troops. The U.S., America's already lost, because our aura, or our forward-facing, this is how you see us, of global dominance, if you got our protection, you're untouchable, is shattered. Like they failed to protect the Gulf economic infrastructure. There's no way. And I mean, maybe Kushner does get a new deal. Maybe he does. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to stop moving money. What I'm saying is that money doesn't mean anything unless you can do something with it. And you can't build. They will never be able to build on in Gaza if they can't get Iran to stop launching missiles. Like they can't. Iran only had to survive. And they did that. And the CIA is saying now that regime collapse isn't going to happen. They elevated a IRGC hardliner. Khamenei was mild compared to Mathaba. Like mild. This guy was, his son was raised in the IRGC. His son was, is known to be a hardliner. And on top of that, he apparently, now they're claiming he was disfigured in the strike that killed
this, yeah.
And Pete Hegseth finally said something the other day. He's like, yeah, he might be injured. Yeah, they said he was injured like the day after the strike. Like, again, why are you saying this now? It's like he's like releasing it now like something happened. They're recycling successes. That should tell you something. They're recycling a success that we already knew about because they have nothing good to report. Because actually, the Situation Room is, Mr. Secretary, we're looking at a 30% degradation in sortie rate today due to the strikes on Prince Sultan. We're not going to be able to sortie out of there, which is going to, reduce our sortie rate even more. We're not going to be able to show the biggest day of strikes yet. Our interceptor stockpiles have just passed, 38%. We're about to have to start critical rationing. And all of our bases in Iraq are getting drone striked by FPV drones and missiles. They've shut down any kind of air travel. They've hit all of the airports. The entire world has rerouted its air traffic through this tiny little air pocket that goes through, I want to say it's like in the Balkans somewhere. But like everything is like this. They went and like Australia, Japan, Germany just said no. They're like, please help us open the Strait of Hormuz. Everyone's like, no, deal with your own shit.
Yeah.
Like
and
we can't, like, especially since the US can't. Go ahead.
Let's also comment, oil is now over $100 a barrel because we fucking did that. We did that. Trump did that. The US did that. We caused oil prices to spike around the world. We're causing economic hardship across the globe. We're causing huge economic hardship within the US. Like, we are not energy independent of any other nation. We are energy dependent on all nations, just like other nations are energy dependent on us, because we're a global fucking society at this point. And every time one of us does something, it impacts the rest of us. And I don't know, maybe the fact that we have gas prices going up 50 cents, $1 a gallon or more everywhere, like, people are going to get hit. And what we're trying to help do too is show how fucking stupid this war actually is and the damage it's doing to us here at home too. Because there was a question earlier in the chat, and it's a really important one, is how does this affect us? What does this mean to us? Like, why should we care that the US is bombing Iraq or Iran? Why should we care that any of this is happening? Well, we should care because when we do run out of munitions, the next thing that will happen is they will nationalize manufacturing systems and stop producing goods and start producing munitions. They will shift to a wartime economy, which means munitions will be the main product that we export from companies that should be producing goods for sale and for consumption within the US and around the world. Our economy will tank because of it. The only sectors that will profit off of this are war sectors, so our defense industry, and that's about it. Everyone else is going to suffer. The tech bros and the defense industry, which are the same thing now, are going to skyrocket in their profits. Everybody else is going to get hurt. And then it puts regional tension between us and our allies because Donald Trump has been assailing our allies in NATO, saying that we're going to take over sovereign nations such as Greenland, which is part of NATO, because it's under the Danish crown. It is one of their sovereign states, and it is a nation within NATO. Now we're asking our NATO partners to protect us and to protect what we caused in the Strait of Hormuz. And they're saying no. They don't want to participate in the fuck up that we caused because we're hurting them, and it's only going to get worse, and it's going to skyrocket their prices. We're also not talking about any of the environmental cost of burning oil or ships or just shit going into the ocean and the destruction that we're causing to the environment and the amount of pollutants we're putting inside. But part of this is meant to destroy more of the U.S. economy. This is meant to destroy the U.S. economy. And it's working because people are getting hit real hard, real fast. And it's only going to get worse when they start changing manufacturing from supplies and goods to munitions and arms. And that has happened in the U.S., and it will happen again.
You know, that's an interesting thing because I agree on the principle, but I don't think it's technically possible. I really don't think it's technically possible. Like, I don't think they have friend-shored enough to rebuild the U.S. defense manufacturing base. I don't think why are they creating a critical U.S. reserve? Why is the Pentagon, allocating billions of dollars to buy these things? Like, shouldn't the Pentagon already have these things? These are stopgap measures. These are, oh shit, I fucked up measures. These are, oh, I'm going to crash the precious metals market in the United States to buy up privately owned metals because I can't import them. Like, they're using all of the tools they use when these are not the tools they would use to get metals, right? This is the tool they use to crash the economy and extract value from the middle class, not to get, supports. Like, look at the COMEX vaults, okay? Like the actual, physical holding of these metals. They're 30% of actual physical to their obligations. Okay. Like, they can't do it. If they were going to do it, they would have already ramped up the production because they're behind. Like, they straight up said, Lockheed Martin said, yeah, you're not getting any more THAAD interceptors till 2027. And we know how the Pentagon works. We know how the defense contractors work. They just push it out every year. They could say we're investing $500 billion in U.S. defense manufacturing. So you did. Where are you going to buy the steel? Because the steel you need, it comes from China, and you're literally gatekeeping their oil. You're literally attacking Iran. You are fucking with their shit all over the world. They are fighting a Cold War against China. Meanwhile, Russia scams them, simultaneously taking advantage of the Trump regime and using them against their own allies. They're actively assisting Iran in this war with intelligence. At the same time, Russia's losing in Ukraine. Big time. It's crazy, actually. Like, it's not even funny. They've lost months, maybe years of territory in a matter of weeks. When the Starlink was cut off in February, this is not your traditional, we just need to get the resources to do it. There's no avenue because they created this situation because they were greedy 20 years ago, and they could offshore everything to China, and they did. That's why I can't go get a manufacturing job easily as a young person. I can't go and work because that was never even something I didn't have that opportunity. Young people go into service. That's what you do. You go and get a service job. Most people you talk to that are older, they didn't do that. They didn't all go work a service job. They would go and learn some sort of a trade. You could like, why can't I, if I really wanted to go and build ships, there's not that many jobs in the US to go and build ships. Like, it's not like it's atrophied. And not only that, but they cut their own umbilical for defense manufacturing. They went and started a tariff war with China before they had figured out how exactly they were going to replace Chinese imports to build their drones. It's like I was saying, why did they open up the coal? I mean, clean coal. No, I mean, it's because they can't build the factories, the facilities they want here. It's because they can't do it. It's a matter of there is no out. This is a downward spiral. There is no militarizing the economy because you can say in practice, we invested $1.3 trillion in AI. So there's a $1.3 trillion in value. That's not true. What happens when the data centers they have, Nick, when they need to replace those chips? What are they going to do? Because they don't last forever.
Nope.
What are they going to do? What happens when they strip Taiwan of what little defense, extra regional defense that was there to support a war in the Middle East, and China takes Taiwan and says, yeah, we don't trust you. You literally tried to seize Karg Island and stop all of our oil imports, and we're smarter than you, so we stockpiled 3 months of oil because we know you can't sustain the war for 3 months. So, we're just going to sit here and wait while you do that, and we're going to help Iran, help them deplete you, and then we're going to take Taiwan, and then you get nothing. And Thailand and Cambodia, they're still itching to kill each other. And the last time that happened, paralyzed $4.8 billion in international trade. The Thailand Plus One program, where Taiwan is able to outsource its testing and assembly of all of its semiconductors. All right. The price of chips went up NVIDIA reduced their production forecast when this happened in December by almost 25%. And prices of just premiums on insurance flying out of the region went up almost 40%, resulting in a 15% price increase. Okay. We have examples of this. We know this. This is not a discussion on whether or not they're going to get it. They're not. It's just what we're talking about. This is propaganda. It's a narrative that money gets you anything. No, money means nothing if there's not a physical value attached to that money. You can give me $1 million and say, Shane, here's $1 million worth. I'm going to give you $1 million. You give me $1 million, and I'm going to give you $1 million worth of rocks, really precious rocks. I'm like, cool. Give you $1 million. They say, Shane, as soon as I have those rocks, I'm going to give them to you. I promise. What the fuck do you mean? I just gave you $1 million. Well, your investment's still there. It still holds. You still own $1 million worth of rocks. You just don't have it right now. Well, that doesn't help me. That doesn't do anything. I just gave you $1 million for jack shit. The relationship with India. Okay. Well, India is the fourth biggest economy. And now what has the United States gone and done? They are super dependent on Iranian oil. If we think our energy crisis is bad, that's even worse there. It doesn't matter. The limitation is scarcity. They built a capitalist economy on the assumption of a exponential supply chain, that they would just scale supply chain with money, and that nothing would impact the ability for supply to meet demand. Everyone should take basic economics. Everyone should understand supply and demand. Demand has so far outstretched supply because we are entering or in arguably a state of world war. I would say we're in a state of world war, to be honest with you. A world war doesn't have to be two axes of power. It's merely a state of being. And there's war everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
This is a world war. And America, if it wasn't before, it is now. Because the globe is on fire, and it's not slowing down. You think the situation in Iran and the Middle East is going to help the Sahel? It's going to make things better in the Red Sea, where you have Nigeria and Ethiopia and Eritrea and the UAE and Israel and Sudan all fighting over, Sudan, why is everyone Sudan? They've pulled more gold out of Sudan year over year as the civil war has gone on. So despite the fact that famine has gotten worse, humanitarian conditions are awful, it's because the reason the war in Sudan can't end is because the UAE processes all of that gold. And then that gold goes to Switzerland and refines it. That gold goes to Switzerland. And that's the backbone of the gold commodity, is the exploitation and genocide of the Sudanese people, as the UAE uses the RSF to extract the gold that is the fundamental investment backbone of the global gold trade. If you stop the war in Sudan and you penalize the UAE, then the entire commodities market falls through the floor. So the world is dependent on exploitation and genocide to even maintain this. It doesn't work in practice in the long term. And I think that's where, if there's a takeaway from today, what I really want, you to think about is stop listening to the press conferences, stop looking at the briefings, or stop listening to, USA Today, or, whatever. You want a good idea, come listen to me. I don't read that shit. I go to open source intelligence. I go to the videos. I go to the flight tracking data. And I cross-reference across 7 to 8 different sources. And I just give you what's happening, not what they're saying. And I'll tell you what's going on. What you're getting isn't news. It's the propaganda. The propaganda machine's in full swing, folks. This is exactly what I would expect. If we were looking at that situation, it's exactly what Nick would expect if he was looking at this situation. This is fascism. And this is a war that maybe they thought would be over quickly, and they probably thought it would be over quickly. They'd look big and strong. They'd use it to stiff arm the Middle East. We just protected you guys, give us more money, right? And we just hit Iran, and we weakened China, and now we can, manipulate the oil in the Middle East. Of course, that was, the intent, but didn't work out that way. So now, as things get worse at home, they're going to pivot. They're going to say, okay, well, we need to suppress the public because we're in a war that's so unpopular. And I don't know, man. I was watching that. Did you see that clip with Scott Bessent where he left and came back in the middle of that interview? And he left, went into the Situation Room for 90 minutes, comes back. And he makes a statement, something along the lines of, my teenage, and he was going to say my teenage son, but he stopped himself. He said, my teenager is considering military service. And I would trust my kid with my kid's life with these people. They really care. And then he said, the operation is proceeding well, yada, yada, yada. Right. So, that to me was why are you putting draft and you're, it reads draft to me. Why are you even saying that? And who is that statement for? Is it for you? You think, and it's are you thinking about your kid? Right? They just walked you out of the room, and either something happened that was so horrific that it made him think about his own son, right? Young people, right? His own son. Or they said there's going to be a draft. And, what's even crazier is I was looking at this. You do an analysis of this. There's certain steps that have precursed every single draft in U.S. history. There's things they do. And they just passed a new draft service. There's a name for it. They just passed a new one this year, which they always do. They always overfund the selective service system. In advance of a larger scale draft. They get the pipes moving. They'll do a smaller draft before they do a larger draft. And they've done those things. And then I see that interview and I ask myself, Scott Bessent is a really good, and when I say good, I mean he's a good bullshitter. He lies for a living. He does not. His body posture, he's not uncomfortable. He's confident. He stands up there and he lies to the world about the American economy. That's what he does. He's an expert. to see his composure so whacked out, especially with what he was saying, maybe things are worse. Like, are they considering a draft? How do you do that? The U.S. fleet that we use to transport everything, our airlift capacity could only do, it's less than 20%. I remember that much, but it's less than 20%, which means the other half of it needs to be moved by sea. Well, that fleet that we use, it's going to be, half of it's going to be inoperable by 2035. Okay. The independent analysis before the war on whether or not the U.S. logistics system could support an extended invasion of any kind was already verifiably by independent think tanks. They'd come out and say it's not possible. By their own standards, it's not possible. This war is not possible. This war shouldn't have happened. All America had the ability to do was be a standoff deterrent. It's a one-trick pony. And not only have they shown the trick, but we're also seeing that just like Russian doctrine in their attempts to invade Ukraine, American military doctrine does not hold up against a adaptive, asymmetrical enemy who has been preparing for precisely this for the last 50 plus years. I wouldn't expect anything different. Like the Pentagon, the Joint Chiefs told them not to do it. They're not that, like, they did say
the
don't
Joint
do it.
Chiefs are not dumb. Like, we're not led in terms of true military leadership on the inside. For the most part, they're really not dumb. There's a lot of really smart people still in there. Problem is, we're being led by people who are overreaching on their position. Sorry. And not letting the true experts actually say what they need to and do what they need to prevent further escalations. Because one of the things that was mentioned, we mentioned a little earlier, and we probably won't get to too much of space talk today. Sorry, folks, because we're almost at our hour and a half that we normally go to. However, this is a really important conversation, and I'm glad we're going into it. One of the things, too, that we've talked a little bit about is the NATO aspect. And there was a comment that I want to correct a little bit from one of our friends in the chat saying that NATO is really only North America and Europe. It is, but it has expanded to some of the Asian, Middle Eastern Asian countries, like Turkey is part of NATO. Turkey is a NATO nation, and they have had their airspace somewhat violated. Hold on. Okay, grab a snack, buddy. Grab it and bring it to me, and I'll open it for you. Is over the last 24 hours or the last few days at most, Turkey's airspace was violated by an Iranian interceptor. And it entered Turkish airspace. Turkey is part of NATO. If Turkey were to be attacked, they could claim Article 4, which would be when one of us is attacked, all of us are attacked. The only nation that's ever claimed Article 4 powers is the U.S. It was after 9/11 when we said we were attacked and everybody came to our aid. What we need to be looking out for in some of this, too, is Turkey is kind of unreliable and is kind of NATO light at most. They push back on a lot of real NATO action and policies and agreements and ideas. And we need to look out for not only attacks on U.S. soil, but attacks on NATO ally soil, such as Turkey, on purpose to draw our NATO allies in to a conflict that, one, they don't want to be a part of, and two, leaves the entire European Eastern Front open. Because then everyone would stop protecting Ukraine to protect Turkey. Because Turkey is a true NATO alliance member. Ukraine isn't. And that's the route we have to be careful about.
You know, it's interesting because a French soldier was killed the other day, 6 wounded at a base, right? So, I mean, arguably,
there already has been
an impact on NATO.
Kurdish run joint facility in Iraq. So we're going to bring it back to the Kurds. The Kurds got attacked too. It hit the Kurdish.
The Kurds. That's why I don't think they did it. That's why I don't think they did it, because the U.S. has abandoned them. That's been a fair weather friend for decades, right? Like Turkey hates the Kurds. So it's not even when the U.S. supports, the SDF and all that in Turkey too. Like the Kurds, they don't like them. The Turkey's been fighting its own Kurdish problem for decades, right? So to your point, but again, the French soldiers were killed before the UK and Germany now have declined to send ships. If the UK and Germany aren't going to do it, France isn't going to do it. And to your point, they can't, because they have Russia. It's not even a matter of can they.
Yes. And sorry, I want to correct myself. Article 4 is the discussions of going to war and going with each other. Article 5 is the actual invocation of we were attacked. You need to come immediately. I want to correct myself. Zubels, thanks for pointing that out. Yes, Article 4 is part of it. Article 5 is when they go, hey, we're going to just bomb your ass or invade you at this point because you've attacked us, and we're all going to do it. So, yes, thank you for the correction. I appreciate that, Zubels. See, we correct ourselves, unlike other people. We want to be right for you guys and give you guys good information. I haven't told you this yet, Shane, and I want to close out our conversation a little bit with this, is I am putting together a simple web page for us that's going to be a battle space tracker that allows us to get up-to-date daily data on strikes from the...
Nice.
No, you cannot have my turtle. There you go. Go eat your chips. Oh no, go eat your chips. Is I'm putting together I want to put together a little battle space map that gives us our own data-driven battle space map of strikes in the region, where they're at, when they've hit, and so that we can provide you guys clear, trusted information that where it's coming from, well sourced, well documented, and then we can provide that back to you. So when people are asked what's going on, we can say, hey, this is what has happened today. These are and Shane does an incredible job at it already. This can help add to his work and his research. This can help add to other folks being able to support in research and providing truthful content. Because right now it's 1 million voices are needed. Like millions of us need to be speaking out in whatever ways we can. And if you're a good analyst and you like looking at data, or you're a good aggregator and you like creating maps and different, if you're a good data analyst, come help us out. Like data analysts, you're needed right now. The ability to aggregate all this data and pull this together safely would be a great tool. So data analysts, come reach out. But if you like analyzing things and discussing what's going on in these situations, then come reach out and talk to us, because we want tools and tech that are available for everybody to be able to get accuracy, because we're fighting through an information war. This is like Shane said, and as others have talked about, is we're in a global war. We're not in a unified global war, but the globe is at war. People in the globe are at war all over the place. Every continent basically is in some sort of war, except for maybe South America. Nope. And they're only not in war.
No, we're in war in Ecuador now.
Oh yeah, they're in war on two fronts, because Venezuela and Ecuador. Because of us, we're at war with everybody. We're exporting war, and we can push back on it. We can fight back. We can continue to tell the truth. We can continue to document everything, because even if it doesn't feel like what we're doing right now is helping, it really is. It's putting together the body of evidence and documentation and details that are going to be used for accountability. Shane is creating a documented record of strikes and of waste, of fraud, abuse, of death, of killing and murder. Shane is putting that record together. We're putting that record together. You all in our audience are helping us put that record together. And the bigger and the larger of a record, and the more voluminous and the more accurate we have, the more we can hold them accountable. And so we want to put that record together with y'all. And so come join us. Come join us here. Come support us, and continue to be a part of this community with us. And I'm going to shift over to our final scene instead of scrolling through all of the rest. Is first, let's start with come support network, come support banner and backbone. We are, as Shane smashes everything, we are building this network so everybody can get truth, can get facts, can be prepared, can understand what's going on that around them in the world, and can be armed with the truth. And so come support banner and backbone so that we can do that. We're putting together these tools not just for us but for all of y'all. And we really, really appreciate the community that you have built up around us and the support that you have provided us through this. We really treasure it. It's amazing. It is literally what keeps me going, is the support and the community, is being able to see that what we're doing is actually helping and people find it valuable. And if you find what we're doing valuable, come support us, please. Help us grow and help us become part of help us become one of the new media networks that really takes over the sphere and gives you real truthful reporting. And one of those people that is part of that, as I find his QR code somewhere in this list of QR codes that I have 10,000 QR codes for, is Shane. Is come support my friend, my good friend, my brother, Shane Yerrick. He reports,
guys,
so before I'm a gloat on you for a second.
Okay. All right.
This dude puts out really, really good information daily, often hourly, maybe even less, maybe even like minute by minute sometimes.
Sometimes
puts out really good content, really detailed, really thorough analysis, really good understanding of what's going on. And he breaks the war down. He's breaking the war in Ukraine down, the wars in Africa, the wars around the world. He's breaking them all down and putting a really solid, trusted reasoning and analysis behind him. And I trust the work that Shane puts out, and I value his friendship and his support, and I think you guys all should too. So come join Shane at the Firebrand Project. Be a paid or free subscriber. But I'll let Shane talk about himself a little bit too. But I just wanted to say, come support my friend, my brother.
Thank you, man.
He's been here with me. We're on episode 31 now or some shit. We've been doing this for 30 plus weeks, guys. Come help support Shane, continue to grow and continue to do this. Brother, I'll hand it over to you to finish selling yourself or promoting yourself as best you can.
Yeah, so Nick said it pretty well, but you guys have been on this journey with me. You know that I've changed to fill the gaps where I think I can be of the most use. My commitment is to global democracy. It's not just to America. I'm a global citizen. I care about this planet. I care about every human on it. I care about ethical reporting. I care about giving you guys the information. And my commitment to you is this. I will provide you with, verifiable, transparent analysis and real-time data. I'm committed to providing citizens and citizens alike the information they need to be successful in unpacking what's going on. I don't want to just be a journalist you follow. I want to be a place you can go to be a journalist. And for you to walk away with what you need to make real decisions and make real decisions in your life based on the information you're getting, to conduct your own operations, to be able to stand on this data and say, this is good. I can use this. Like I saw there's some of the biggest news aggregators, and I'm not going to name drop, but I'm just one of the biggest people in the world. He posted the wrong number. The reason that I said 2,200 to 2,500 is because someone who has hundreds of millions of followers said 2,500. It's the wrong number. My number was 2,200. And I shouldn't have doubted myself because I saw someone, post the other day that it was 2,500, and that's not even the accurate number. Honestly, it's closer to 5,000 because they don't even count the sailors. So how many people are really being exposed? I've pretty much pivoted to covering Iran, it's a lot. It's like a full-time job, covering this war. There is a lot to decide, a lot to cover, and I'm trying to kind of organize and to be able to give you guys everything I've been giving you. Obviously, my live schedule and whatnot has changed a little bit. I think going maybe not today because I'm live now and I still have to write everything and get you guys briefed. But I think this week, definitely Friday, you're going to see me again, and we're going to get back into our live reports. I just need to figure out
continue broadcasting it on Banner and Backbone.
Yes, of course. I need to figure out how to cover 8 wars.
What he's saying is we need 7 of you to jump in and support Shane and Banner and Backbone. And that way each day we can have one of you supporting a war and talking about it.
Yeah.
Once a day. Like
I would rather have a human analyst than a Claude any day. So a human doesn't use a tremendous amount of energy that compromises my children, my even unborn children, and Nick's born children's future. We would much rather use a team of human beings to do this work because humans are great. As much as they suck, they are also can be great. So yeah, if you want to help out, it's not some, there's a lot of resources I can give you to help. Even if you don't necessarily, if you're not an analyst, you don't need to do the analysis. Just go and look at X websites every day and send X away. So yeah, there's totally something you can do, but I'm trying to figure all this out for you guys. I'm trying to make it so that I can cover it all for you. And I'm super grateful for everyone's support. There was a little bit of a shakeup, and things were a little weird for a while. And so I kind of stepped back and was reevaluating where I can best help everyone out and be true to each and every one of you and your support of my work. And I think you found doing that. I'm still committed to doing that. And I'm going to keep doing that. So if you want to support me, I know it was a little long-winded, but I want to take this opportunity to kind of share with you guys where things are going because things are different and the situation is fluid. And if anything, I'm committed to just being where I need to be in that moment. As all this is going on, keep an eye out. Another Iran update today. I'm going to try and get a Sudan update out too. So I'm probably not going to go live today, but you will get an update on Sudan today, which is something I've been working on. So keep your eyes out for that. We're going to do these takeaways. I think these critical takeaways, everyone has really liked them. Everyone's really liked this kind of analysis. And I'm going to keep giving you guys that. So I don't want you to watch the headlines all day, every day stressed. I want you to be able to sit down, read for 8 to 10 minutes, and not look for the rest of the day. And have a life. I want you guys to have a life, and I can have my life doing this for my job to give you guys that part of your life back. I want you to stop having, as much as we love you coming to our lives and everything on Substack, I don't want you guys to feel like you have to be watching all of these people saying the same thing every day just to catch the newest bit of information, because that's exhausting, because I was doing that. So I'm going to try and work with Nick, as well as, any, Banner and Backbone to get you guys that information. And so you can just step away, because I need to step away. Nick needs to step away. We all need to be able to step away. And it shouldn't be that hard for a citizen, a global citizen, to just get real information. We're all smart enough to figure this shit out. So I know long-winded. I'm sorry. But that's all right, bro. Definitely paid subscribers. are huge. You can make one-time donations. Thank you to everyone who's made one-time donations. It's been super helpful. Helped us out a lot. So I appreciate you guys. And go and support Nick. Nick is just one hell of a guy. He's one hell of a guy. And he has done so much good. And he continues to do so much good. And, he's not just sick of this shit. He's also a dad. He's a husband. He's a veteran. He does things that make him uncomfortable for our democracy and to network and to bring people together. He is someone I greatly respect, and that I think if you're not already supporting him, you should do that. We're at a point in time where it's about value, because there's a lot of people out here doing the work, but a lot of them are doing work, not the work. Nick is doing the work. You can say you're doing work. I'm working for, independent journalism. It's almost a buzzword now. It sucks because, people like Nick, he's an independent journalist. More so, he's a civic savant is what I'm going to call him. He's a civic savant because he knows how to connect people. He's deeply aligned with the civic values of the Constitution and what America means to him, not what America is. America is acting as a global terrorist. The America that we believe in is a country that preserves its own democracy, preserves the planet, preserves equal living and human rights. That's what Nick fights for. And so go support him. Go and support him and go buy some Sick of This merch because,
why not?
Go get your water bottle with straw.
Just suck less. Mine's coming in too. I'm hoping it comes in the next day or two. Thanks, Shane. I really appreciate you, man. Come support me at Sick of This Shit Publications. That's my main home for my work outside of the Banner and Backbone sphere. It's where I do chronic illness discussions, masculinity discussions. We're redefining masculinity and building intelligent masculinity, and we're going to take on the masked and fragile ego-based masculinity that is driving authoritarianism and driving men and the rest of us into the ground, because men, sorry to say it, guys, we kind of suck, and we just need to suck less. We just need to suck less. And to do that, come join me at Sick of This Shit Publications. Learn what it means to be an intelligently masculine man. Learn what it means to be empathetic, be a better human. And you can now check out my first intelligent masculinity article reposted on Lincoln Square. So I am getting out there. My articles are getting out there. The intelligent masculinity articles have now started being reposted on both Centered America and Lincoln Square, which means people are reading them. They want to know. They want to know what it means to be a real man and what it means to not suck so much. Make a manosphere that sucks less. Make a manosphere that's better for all of us, and change the culture of men so that we're better for everyone, including ourselves, because we need it. And that's me. That's Sick of This Shit Publications. That's what I do. I'm trying to create a space specifically around masculinity and chronic illness discussions, and a place where people can feel welcome. So come join me there. Come become a paid or free subscriber. We've gotten some new paid subscribers today, especially after the release of the article with Lincoln Square. So please continue to become a paid subscriber. That not only keeps the lights on so that we can host these shows and I can pay for the services that allow us to do research and to host these platforms, because they are not free. The division of labor that is required through service-based purchases is not free, and it's not cheap, but it's worth it. And your subscriptions go to make those things possible, and then they go to put food on my table, because that's what I need. I need to put food on the table, but I also want to give you guys something real. This is me. This is who I am in person. This is who I am online. I'm no different than anything else that I am in person, and We have lovely ADHD side discussions. It's fun to be a part of the community where you get to talk about yourself and your experiences, and people share in the joy of them, and we build them together. That's what Sick of This Shit Publications is. We're trying to suck less and do more. And then again, finally, last call of action, come join Banner and Backbone again. Like, this will make this possible. As we grow, the larger this audience and community becomes, the more power we have. And we know people. I love networking. I know a lot of people now. I have friends in a lot of different spaces. And what that means is you all have access to different spaces that you wouldn't have had before. And we can get our voices heard in ways never before heard. So continue supporting us, continue making our voices powerful so that your voices get heard, because it's about you.
Yeah.
It's not about me. I don't want the attention. I'd much rather be home, quiet, living a quiet life. I want to start a farm. That's really what I want to do. I want to farm on my land and relax. I'm disabled. I'd like to relax, but I'm not going to. And I'm not going to stop until we win. So just suck less and do more, because that's what we need to do. And don't worry, Olivia, that'll go on to a piece of merch. And if you want anything from the Sick of This shop, go to shop.sickofthisshitpublications.com, buy your Just Suck Less water bottle. And all that money is going to go back into supporting this network and the growth and getting what we need out there so that we can win. So suck less, do more. And what we like to say here at Palantalk, because this is our space, this is where we come to talk tech. Oh, he didn't do it. Damn it, Shane, we're going to do this again. This has been another episode of Palantalk where we like to talk tech.
No fascism.
Hey, y'all. We'll see you next Monday for another incredible episode of Palantalk, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. We'll see you all again. Have a great week. Go fight some fascism. This is Banner and Backbone. I'm Nick.
Touch some grass. Touch some freaking grass. Go touch some grass.
I'm Nick Perro, joined by Shane Yerrick. We'll see you again next week. This is Banner and Backbone. Thanks, y'all. Have a great one.
Take care, everybody.